Hi, welcome back to my channel, Beautiful Minutia. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany, and welcome to the final Victober vlog. So I've been doing weekly vlogs all throughout Victober because Victober is my absolute favorite reading event of the entire year. I absolutely love Victorian literature, and so I wanted to do a reading vlog each week so I can just kind of share the cozy vibes and all the things that I've been reading. So I am in the middle of a few books right now, and there's several that I hope to finish up by the end of Victober, which is obviously next Monday, October 31st. So the books that I am currently in the middle of are A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. I am making good progress. I'm almost halfway through. So I'm 178 pages in, and I am so enjoying this so much, which was not my expectation going in. I had tried to read this multiple times in high school and as a young adult, and just couldn't get into it, just really struggled with it for some reason. So I'm really enjoying this. It's really exceeding my expectations for its readability and how well I'm able to follow, because I feel like there is like a smaller cast of characters than a lot of Dickens novels have right off the bat. And so that helped me feel acclimated a little bit more quickly. I'm also thinking that having read Les Mis last year actually might work in my favor in terms of kind of understanding French Revolution just maybe a bit more. Maybe not. We'll see once we get to that point. We haven't really gotten to the actual revolution part yet in the story where I am. I'm buddy reading this with Sandy from Miss Reads a Lot, and she's enjoying it too. We both were going into it with quite a bit of trepidation and just really not necessarily like looking forward to picking it up, because we both thought that maybe we wouldn't enjoy it, and I think we've both been surprised by how much we actually are enjoying it. I've also been reading lots of Oscar Wilde short stories with my friend Tia from Novel Idea. So far we have read 6 of the 9 in my collection. My book is around here somewhere, but I couldn't find it, and I need to hurry up and film so I can start school with my daughter. So we have 3 of those left, and so I definitely want to complete that short story collection. Will I complete it by the end of October? Maybe, maybe not, because I'm only halfway through the book, so the last 3 are obviously quite lengthy, but I'm definitely going to read at least 1 or 2 more, hopefully all 3, but that's one I'm holding just a little bit more loosely. I think we'll probably still continue to read them and finish them together, even if we don't finish them by the end of October. I have also been listening to North and South, and I have not made great progress on that audiobook, unfortunately. I still have about 8 hours left of it, and yeah, about a week left to finish it. So we'll see. I hope that I'll be able to finish it, but I'm not totally sure. I'm gonna try. I just have been doing a lot less audiobook listening the past couple of weeks, so we'll see. It's narrated by Juliet Stevenson, and I love her narrations. I actually listened to her narration of Emma earlier this year and just absolutely like fell in love with her as an audiobook narrator. And so when I found out that she narrated North and South, I was thrilled. And I don't physically own that one, so I was planning to listen to it on audio anyway when I was walking my dog or whatever, and I just haven't had as much time to listen to it. The last book that I'm in the progress of right now is Orion and the Starborn by K.B. Hoyle. This is actually an ARC that I received from Owl's Nest Publishing. I read another one of their books earlier this year before it was published, Son of the Deep, by the same author, and that was like a ginger-bent Little Mermaid, and it was really fun. I enjoyed it quite a bit. This one is a sci-fi, and this is a middle grade. Son of the Deep was a YA. This is a middle grade, and it's about a young boy, Orion Kim, who lives with his grandmother and has always kind of like felt like he doesn't quite fit in, and then he's come to the realization that he's actually not from Earth at all. He is from a different solar system that is actually like part of Orion's belt that everyone on Earth thinks are stars, but they're not stars, they're actually planets in a solar system. So he comes from one of the planets there, and he has some sort of power. I don't really know how it works yet. He has like sparks that are coming from his fingers. I don't know what on earth that means yet. I am only 50 pages in, but I started reading it more over the weekend, and I'm just like really enjoying it, and I do want to finish it soon because it releases November 15th, so I want to be able to finish it and review it before its publication date. So those are my reading plans for the week, and it's a pretty normal week for the most part, other than having an out-of-town doctor's appointment on Thursday, so I'll probably be gone pretty much all day Thursday, because when we have out-of-town doctor's appointments in a bigger city, we just kind of like make the day out of it and just have fun. And then we also have a chili cook-off event at our church this Saturday. But other than that, like, most of the days are going to be pretty chill and pretty normal. It's actually beautiful today for October. It's been in like the 50s and 60s, and then the past couple of days have been in the 70s, and they've just been like really beautiful outside. So we've just been soaking it up, doing school at the lake and all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna soak up this last final day, because tomorrow it's gonna be in the 50s. So it's gonna feel really cold after it having been in like the mid to upper 70s. 50s is gonna feel like a pretty chilly drop overnight. Anyways, that's it for what my plans for reading are this week. I'm sure I'll pick up something else if I finish Orion and the Starborn, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, and I will keep you updated. Hello, it is Friday and it's been a long time since I have updated. I kind of like don't know what happened to this week. I mean, we've had something going on like every single day, but I feel like I still should have had time, and I don't know where the time went. In fact, I so don't know where the time went that I didn't even upload a video on Thursday. I had a video that I had filmed and was ready to edit, and I still haven't edited it. And it's Friday. It's just, I don't know. The days have just completely gotten away from me. But I'm here now to talk reading update. So, Oscar Wilde short stories. I've now read all of them except one with Dia, and we've really just loved reading these together. They have just been such a highlight of my days to be able to just deep dive into these stories with her, because while these stories kind of teach like a surface level lesson, a lot of them are very fable-esque. There's so much more deeper things to dig into. We were both kind of surprised too, as well, how many of the stories have kind of like little biblical things tucked in there. And I don't mean like biblical lessons per se, but just like references to things or things that remind us of just kind of like random things in the Bible. And so that's been like another cool element and layer to this, but these have just really exceeded my expectation of what I thought Oscar Wilde short stories would be. And that's saying something, because I was really, really looking forward to reading these, but I thought that they would be really humorous. And so far, only one of them has been like really, really funny, and that's The Remarkable Rocket. But the others have had elements of humor to them, but are not as funny as I thought they would be. They're just very like thought-provoking. And we have read this week The Birthday of the Infanta and The Star Child are the two that we've read so far this week. They're both kind of longer. I think in my edition they were both around 20 pages. I think The Star Child might have been a little bit longer than The Birthday of the Infanta, and I kind of felt like both of these stories kind of felt like they were similar in some ways, because they kind of both have this whole beauty going beyond surface level and what you see kind of thing happening with it, but there's so much more to both of them. I can't say a ton about the plot without really just like totally giving away the story, but I think that Oscar Wilde does just a great job of packing a punch in there with the ending for both of them. And I felt like The Star Child was more fairy tale-esque than fable-esque compared to some of his other stories. It just felt a little bit more like fairy tale to me, but I really enjoyed that aspect of it. So now we only have one left, and as you can see, it's kind of long. In my edition, it's 51 pages long, and it is The Fisherman and His Soul. So would I like to finish this by the end of Victober? Yes. Will I? I don't know, and here's why. Here's A Tale of Two Cities. And here is how much of it I still have left to read. So I'm about 2/3 of the way through. Might I just fly through the rest of this book and finish it quickly? Yeah, I might. Will I? I'm not really sure. I actually got a couple chapters of this read yesterday when I was waiting for my doctor's appointment, but I didn't get any more of it else read yesterday, unfortunately. So I'm still really enjoying it. The chapters that I just read are really, really beautifully written. They're kind of introducing the actual like French revolutionary aspect and like the fighting and the violence that's starting. And it talks about one of the characters who is living in England, and it talks about like echoes and footsteps in her heart because she knows that tragedy is coming, that death is coming, that as happy as things are right now, they won't remain that way, and she can feel that there are things that are coming. And just the way that that chapter was written was honestly like achingly beautiful. Like I could feel that because I've known those times too, maybe not to the extreme that this story is talking about, but there are moments where it just hits me like in the middle of laughter, in the middle of a beautiful moment, knowing like that this isn't gonna last forever. And so I think it helps me treasure those moments, but I hope it does that more than me being like pessimistic. But yeah, like this is just, it's so wonderfully written. I'm really, really enjoying it. And I think at this time, let me see how many pages I have left. I have about 170 pages left in this. So I will finish this by the end of October because I still have today, Saturday, and Sunday, and Monday to finish it. So I will definitely be finishing this, hopefully sooner rather than later. I also have about 6 hours left, actually less than 6 hours. I'm under the 6-hour mark now of what's left for the audiobook of North and South, and so I would like to finish that by the end of October as well. And I am enjoying it more than I enjoyed it the first time, but based on where I am in the story and based on my experience with it and kind of knowing what's coming, I don't think that this is going to be as highly rated the second time around as I was hoping it would be. The first time I read it, I rated it 2 stars, and that was quite an unfair rating, I think. And I even had a video of books that I think I would rate higher now than I did when I read them the first time, and that book actually made the list. This time around, I am enjoying it more than the first time, but I was like, you know, maybe this will end up being like 4.5, 5 stars. I don't think that it will be. I like Mr. Thornton a lot more the second time around because I feel like I'm understanding more where he's coming from than I was the first time around in terms of like what's going on in his mind and how he is perceiving the way that Margaret is behaving. So, but I don't love kind of like the miscommunication trope, which is very, very prevalent in YAs nowadays, but it is like a huge like crux for the romantic relationship in North and South. And so there's part of me that's like, you know, if you guys would just like talk to each other and be like, hey, you know, this way that you're behaving is dumb. The other person would be like, oh my gosh, that's not what I'm thinking at all. That's not what I mean when I'm behaving that way. And so it's just like one of those things where I'm just like, if you just talk to each other, this could actually be avoided and you would learn something from each other, because every time they do have a conversation about things that they disagree on, they both learn a lot from each other and come to understand each other's perspectives a whole lot more. That being said, I really do like Margaret as a protagonist. I feel like she is very loving and very selfless, especially when it comes to her parents and a lot of the things that are taking place in the story. But yeah, but where I am in the book, for those of you who have read it, is like the strike has happened and there's a big climactic scene that I remember very clearly from the first time reading it, and that's about where I left off. I'm a couple chapters beyond that. So yeah, there's just, I don't know. I am still enjoying it, so it's not like I want to DNF it or anything, because I love Juliet Stevenson's narration and I am enjoying it, but it's not going to be a favorite this time around either, I don't think. The other book that I'm reading is Orion and the Starborn by KB Hoyle. I'm now about halfway through this. Oh my gosh, you guys, I love this so much. This hits on everything that I love about middle grade, but usually it's in a fantasy, and this is in a sci-fi setting, which is making it super fun and feel like a bit fresh for me, because it's definitely following that trope of child has never really fit in, and then someday someone comes to this child and says, hey, it's because you're not from here. You're actually from this other world, and I'm gonna take you there now. And then the child goes to this world and starts going to school there and learns about the world. And it's like, that is my jam. Like, I love that in books. Harry Potter has that, Keeper of the Lost Cities has that, Nevermore has that, The School for Good and Evil had that. Like, there's a lot of books that I have read, and that is like an element that I just love. And I didn't love all the books that I just mentioned, but I loved like kind of the magical school element of all of those books. And so Orion and the Starborn takes that and tweaks it just a little bit, because it is a sci-fi, not a fantasy. So he's not going in there and being like super magical, although I guess there are elements, because he does have an ability that he doesn't know how to control. And so there's 3 planets, and depending on what planet you come from, your abilities are different. So there's like 3 different abilities, and so that's really interesting. So I guess that element is kind of magical, but he's also learning a lot of kind of like more scientific and technological kind of things that they're able to do on these planets that he's not able to do on Earth. And so it's just super cool. I am loving it so much, and I am trying to be disciplined and read my Victober reads, which I am enjoying. Don't get me wrong, I'm loving them, but I want to be reading this because I'm like, this is just like hitting my sweet spot right now. Like, I am just enjoying it so much. So that's my kind of lengthy reading update, since I have had no other updates so far this week. I'm sure that since it's Friday, I will have another update for you on Sunday, or maybe I'll just wait and do it on Monday, because that is the last day of Victober. So not sure yet, but I will keep you updated. Hello, it is finally update time. It is actually Tuesday, November 1st, so it is the day after October has ended, and I'm here with a final update. I didn't have any updates over the weekend because, unfortunately, my husband and I both caught some sort of bug, and I'm feeling better today than I was on Sunday and Monday, but I'm still feeling a little rough. I'm not 100% yet. So I am here to update you on my final thoughts for the books that I was reading, as well as another book that I started yesterday and finished super quickly. First of all, I finished Orion and the Starborn, and I have 0 complaints with this book. It like really just like hit my sweet spot of like things that I absolutely love in middle grade books, most especially just the whole kind of like magical school element is like my favorite setting. So I hope that that continues in future books. It's very clear that this book will have a sequel. I don't know if it'll be a duology, a trilogy, or more, but I really enjoyed it. I found the plot twists to be pretty predictable. I figured out a lot of them beforehand. but that didn't detract from the absolute blast that I had reading this. So I loved it so much, and I'm so thankful that I got an arc of it and that I got a physical arc, because I really think I got an arc of Son of the Deep earlier this year, but it was like a PDF and I had to read it on my phone, and I honestly think that that detracted from my enjoyment of the book quite a bit, because I hate reading books on my phone. Kindle's one thing, but on my phone, I hate it. I also finished A Tale of Two Cities. So I did finish this one by the end of Victober, and man, I can see why so many people said that the ending just made this for them, because my word, it was an ending that's gonna stick with me for a long time. I watched my friend Sandy that I read this book with, she said while we were talking in Voxer, and then also in her video where she talks about this book, she said that she had heard someone else say that it's super easy to spoil the end of this book, and I would agree. I can't really tell you too much about why I loved the ending without it being pretty spoilery, so I'm not going to say a whole lot. I am going to say that the third book in this was incredible. Like, it was just very fast-paced, and I felt like the whole time I was like just flying through the pages trying to figure out how this is going to end and what was happening with it. I will say that the very ending scene I saw coming quite a bit in advance, so it wasn't like a shock to me when certain characters made certain choices, because I kind of knew really on in the book, because of a certain comparison that was made, that that was how the book was gonna go. So but I don't want to say more than that, because even that might be considered a tiny bit spoilery. I don't know. I loved it though. I do feel like I didn't connect to the characters quite as deeply as I do with a lot of Dickens stories, and that's evidenced by the fact that the ending did not make me cry, and I cry super easy at books, and I have cried at just about every Dickens I've read, including Bleak House, which is so far my least favorite Dickens, and I actually think I liked Bleak House less than I liked this one, but Bleak House actually made me cry a couple times at the ending of that one. I don't know if maybe it's the length, that maybe that just didn't have as much time to explore characters, but there are certain characters that I feel like, even though they're main characters, they felt more like side characters, because I felt like I just didn't know them that well and didn't care as much about like what happened to them. I feel like I enjoyed the side characters in this book more than I enjoyed the main characters. I did not quite finish The Happy Prince and Other Stories. I am halfway through the last story in this, so that will be finished in November, but really enjoyed this whole volume, honestly. I also didn't quite finish North and South. I'm not sure if I should include it in my October wrap-up or not, because I only have like an hour left of the audiobook, but I just didn't quite finish it. Pretty close. If I hadn't gotten sick, I think I would have, because that made it impossible for me to walk my dog and listen to the audiobook. So instead, I read Breaking Solomon Nose by Eugene Delchin. This is a middle grade book, and it's very short. Like, the print is big and there's lots of pictures, so it was pretty easy to read very quickly. This is a story of a young boy, Sasha, and his father is like greatly esteemed by Stalin, has received like national awards from him and stuff. And this little boy, I think he's like 10 or something like that, he idolizes Stalin and thinks that he is like the greatest ever. And so as a result, it's quite a haunting book to read. It's quite sad and a little scary, kind of like the brainwashing that happens to this kid. And then there's events that transpire within this very short book, I'm not gonna say what because it's very short, that really cause him to like question a lot of things, and a lot of things that he was raised believing. So it was a really great book. It was actually my 5-star predictions for the year. I wouldn't say that it quite met 5 stars, but it was still super good. I'm kind of sad that Victober is coming to a close. I feel like I'm gonna want to read a Victorian book in November too, because I'm just not ready to let go yet, but we'll see. I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. How did your Victober reading go? Have you read any of the books that I mentioned in this video? And If so, were your thoughts similar? Were they different? I feel like A Tale of Two Cities is kind of a polarizing book, that some people love it and it's their favorite Dickens, and then some people kind of put it at the bottom of the pile. I would say that actually it's probably one of my least favorite Dickens, but I actually super enjoyed it. Like, it's a very, very solid 4-star book. It's one of those things, it's kind of like Jane Austen, where it's like my least favorite of theirs is still like a super good book. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like and also subscribe so you can continue to see more bookish content from me. And I will see you again next time.